Hello and welcome to MenuDocs. My name is Vex and I'm back at it again with another video of the PHUE web dashboard, coming in with episode 4. Now in today's video we're going to be creating 2 rounds for our light control. It's going to be a change light, or like the change color, and brightness round, just as something to get started with, and creating a util class. And also just doing a little bit of code cleanup in our main.py file. So let's get started. We're going to need to download an application to try our API, or make sure everything's working properly. So what we need to do is we actually need to download the app, and we can just we'll go to the postman.com website and hit download the app and choose the one that's corresponding to your operating system. I got a 64-bit Windows computer, so I'm going to download the 64-bit version. So I'll be back when this is installed. You can sign into your account, like if you got the pro version or you want to buy the pro version, you can sign in, or you can create an account. I'm just going to hit skip sign in and just go straight to it. And I'm just going to hit a plus button up here to create like a tab, I suppose you could call it. And in here, I'm just going to get this ready and change this to localhost port 5000, and that should be all good for now. Anyway, so let's open up our code editor. I'm going to be using Visual Studio Code, and let's get started on our first file. So for our first file, we're going to go to our utils class, and we're going to create a file called lights.py. And inside of here, we're just going to import our PHUE library, and we're going to import bridge from it. And underneath here, we're going to want to import utils.secret, and then from that, we're going to want to import bridge_IP, which we actually haven't set yet. So let's go to our secrets.py file, and underneath here, let's just put in bridge_IP. We will migrate this to a database later on down the line, but that's a topic for a whole nother video. And in here, I'm just going to put in my IP address to my Philips Hue bridge, and mine's just 192.168.0.5. If you don't know what yours is, check out the last video where we actually go through and set up the PHUE library and have a quick play around with it. Just ignore this error, it's just because it's going to think we're going to run the file from this entry level and it can't actually see utils, but we're going to be running it from main.py. Right, so now we need to connect to our bridge, so we can just type in bridge. We're going to save it to a variable. I'm going to call it lowercase bridge, or bridge with lowercase b, and then call the class, and in here we can just pass our bridge IP, and underneath we can just say like bridge.connect, and now that it's connected, we can create our first function, and it's going to call getLight. Plural, and we're just going to make it actually return lights. And up here, because we want to access this from everywhere without having to call the function each time in this file, because we are going to be using it, we're going to create a hash table, or a dictionary as it's known in Python. So we can just type bridge.get light object, and underneath here we're just going to pass name. So it's going to get all the lights by names, and that's all sweet. So we can just return lights for here, and then underneath here we can go def change _light, and we're going to need to pass a couple of things through here. So we're going to need to pass the light, so that's going to be a string, and we need to pass a boolean, or if the light's going to be on or off. We can just type bool for our type int, we can default it to true. And in here we can pass our hue, which is going to be an int, and we can just default it to like 10. I don't know what color that is, but we can find out later on. You can change it to anything from like 16.8 million to like 0. 0 will be like mobile lights probably. And for our saturation, we can just tell that to be an int, and we can default it to 255. Same with our brightness. We need to type in that to an integer, and we can just default it to being 255. Later on, if you want to get fancy smancy, you can actually times this by like, I think it's like 2.5 or something, and you can turn it into a percentage out of 100. I can't remember quite what it was. Now that that's done, let's actually access our lights object. So we created our lights objects up here on line 7, so we can access a light individually by typing light and then like these square bracket type things, and we can pass our light, which is going to be passed through the function. So that'll be a string, so it's like the equivalent of typing like, you know, lights, and then, you know, instead of typing table lamp and having something hard coded, it's a bit more like modular. And we're gonna say that it's on. We're gonna pass our on value, which is gonna be obviously defaulted to true, but it could be false, so we need to pass that. And then we need under here, we need to type in light dot hue, and we can just equal that to hue. That's going to be passed through the function again, and we can do the same thing for our next couple of parameters that was passed, and that is the saturation. We can type in here saturation, and then we can do the same for our brightness. And that's going to be to brightness. And up here, I've just made a little mistake. And that should be a T there. Okay, so now that's all done. This is when it's going to call. It's going to pass all these values through, and then it's going to update it, and you'll see the effect when this function's called. So now that we got our light handler file done, we need to come up to our router, and we need to create a new file, and this is going to be called the light handler. Or actually, let's just call it lights.py. I named this file wrong. This is what should be called light handler. My bad. Light underscore handler. And then in our lights file, we need to import a couple of things from Flask. So from Flask, we need to import blueprint. We don't need to import a lot of things. We need to import. We might as well just import these for later. So we can import render template, request, redirect, and session. We also need to import our light handler file that we created. So from utils dot, actually no, we can just import the whole file, light handler. And we need to also import, or actually no, we don't need to import, sorry, my bad. We need to create our light route, so we can type light route equals blueprint. So we're going to call the blueprint function that we imported, or class really, and in here we're going to pass the name of the route, and that's going to be lights, and we just need the underscore name, and I believe underscore name is actually the name of this Python file or something like that. So now we can use the operator that got created, which is light route, and then we need to pass dot routes, and we're actually going to create a new route. We're going to call it PHUE / arrow light. So this is actually going to be like, say we make a request to HTTPS, localhost. We got our request, and we want to change the, a light, and we're going to have it like a hue, and then in hue we're going to have light, so it's not going to look like this. We're going to actually, this is going to be able to, it's going to allow us to change it, so it could be like table lamp, and then we're going to have another one for our color, and the color will be indigo, and we can just, have whatever. So that's just as an example, and then we can just pass in hue here. And we need to, say the allowed methods that we want to accept, and the methods that we're going to accept is just the post method, because it's going to be an API. And if you want to get like theoretical and all that stuff, it actually corresponds to the Philips Hue inbuilt API in their documentations. If you want to change a light color, you need to send the post request. If you want to turn off a light, there's like different request methods. So we may as well just follow them too. So if you ever do want to decide to get rid of the Python PHUE library and create your own little wrapper for the API, which it's pretty simple. It's just a bunch of requests and then the bridge handles it all for you. So yeah, now that we got that, let's define our route. So we can just go PHUE_route, and in here we're going to need to pass a couple of things. It's going to be like PHUE. Now that we've done that, we need to access our light handler. So we can go light_handler dot change light, and then we can go light equals. We're just going to force convert this to a string, and we can just pass in light here. And then our next thing we need to pass is on. We could technically leave this out, but I'm just going to put it there anyway. And PHUE, I'm just going to convert whatever this is into integer, because that's what it needs instead. That's what it's going to accept only as an integer. Now that that's actually done, let's create an object. So we're just going to call our response, and we're just going to put error false. We will implement a better error handle later on down the line for the API, but just for now, because we know we're going to be passing the exact values we want, we're just going to put this here, and then we're just going to return rest as our response. So let's create our second one, and this one's going to be for the brightness. And for this, we can type in light handler _route, sorry. And in here we can do the same thing as above, but except I'm going to call it BRI for brightness, light, and then under the next one we're going to have our brightness. And same thing again, I'm only going to accept a post method. Put that on the spot. Methods equal array and then a post, so we only accept our post method, and then we're going to define our function underneath here and call it route, and the same thing again above, we need to pass light brightness. And now that we've done that, we can do the same thing, light handler dot change light equals string light on equal through brightness is equal to int. So we can implement again all our checkers before executing this later on, but it's going to get a bit too complicated for this video, because I will make a whole video when we go through and do our checkers. We'll go through and do it for all our classes, which will be around the corner, not too far away. We will get onto that. And same thing again, we're just going to assume that there's going to be no errors anyway, so we can just pass error false. Because when we actually get to our dashboard, we're going to be reading the response that we sent, so we can, you know, make sure and then display some nice stuff to the web page if there was an error, and you know, all that stuff. So we can just go return the rest. Right, now we need to do our last part, which is actually going to our main.py file, and we need to import the route we made. We need to register the blueprint, and then we're going to clean up this function here, because if you look at it right now, yeah, it's a bit messy. Anyway, so we can do from routers.lights import light, oh, not light handler, light route, and then underneath here we can just register. So register blueprint, so it's going to register it. I'm going to pass the light route. Oops. Light route, so that'll read all the values from it. And then we can go URL underscore prefix, and we can just go slash light, something like that. Or actually, we can just pass in API instead, and that'll look nicer. So now let's actually get to the part we need to clean up this function. So what we can do straight away is we can just delete this, and we can just go tab, indent, and we type in content equals please log in, and then underneath that we can go if session.get user, and I believe mine is called Vex. We can just type in content equals logged in, return render template, index.html, and then we can pass our content is equal to content. That's all gone. Okay, sweet. Now that we've done that, let's navigate to our terminal and type in Python main.py. So it appears that I've made a mistake and I accidentally put light_handler here and didn't see it. So now if we just go back here, look at that, it's all started. We navigate to localhost port 5000, please log in, and then we can log in and there it is. Okay, I remember my password. So you can see it's all working in that function. Like it saves a lot more room. It does the exact same thing. Now that that's all done, let's actually open up our Postman, and we're gonna navigate to API, and we're gonna go /PHUE, and then I'm gonna go to table lamp, and then inside of table lamp I'm gonna go 600, and let's see. There you go. Okay, so because I just ignore that error. Well, you don't have to if you don't want to. I mean, you can just change your code. You can remove this slash. That's because I didn't have the slasher, so that worked. My light's red, and you know, we can send another one and we can make it like whatever this color is gonna be, and don't know what to change. I think it's a bit more orange. You can play around. You can, let's pass what the default value is. That went to a really deep, and that just didn't update at all. Let's try our brightness route. So our brightness takes a value out of 255. So I'm just going to set this value set it to 30. And I'm just going to change this to BRI. And my brightness went all the way down. Sweet, so that's it for today's video. So actually, before we do wrap it up, let's just make sure to double check. Okay, so yeah, I was a bit worried about this, but it is working. So because we returned a JSON object, or the response, it's gone through and set the content type to application.json, which is sweet. We don't have to worry about setting headers and stuff like that. The response headers. That's going to wrap it up for today's episode. Again, it was a short one, and we didn't do much, but we did do a bit. That's going to set us up for next episode, where we're going to talk to the API via our dashboard and have a nice web dashboard type thing starting to come along. Thank you for watching, and if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, give it a thumbs down, and if you didn't like it, can you please at least leave a comment and tell me why you didn't like it, because I read them all, and feedback is greatly appreciated. And if you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe to MenuDocs, and if you need help, we have a Discord server, discord.gg/MenuDocs. There'll be an invite link in the description if you haven't joined already. Thank you, peace out, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye!